What's up, music teachers? Today we're going to be talking about the transformational content formula. Specifically, by the end of this video, I want you to know the mindset behind the transformational content, also the types of transformational content that we should be posting, and then also I'll give you examples. I'll be able to show you. This training is going to go very high level to be able to encompass everything that we have here. But there are modules below this that go more in depth on each type of post. So let's go ahead and get started. Make sure you have a copy of this and let's get started. So the reason why we have this the whole entire week is because, when teachers start creating content for their studios, I often get these questions where it's like, what should I post, right? Where should I post on social media? How often should I post? I keep posting, but why does no one inquire? Why do I not get any leads from this? So the goal here of transformational content and what will help to answer all of these questions is that we need to create enough trust, connection, and curiosity with your audience so that they engage in a conversation with you through Messenger. So the content that we make here is not designed to sell people. There will be posts where we can be able to talk about our offers and talk about our services. But what I see with a lot of music teachers and a lot of them that come to me, the only experience that they have is maybe posting a flyer on a neighborhood group, or they're posting hey, spots are open, but that's really it. So they wonder why no one inquires. It's because there's a lack of trust. There's a lack of connection with their audience in the first place. So our transformational content formula is going to be, the name kind of gives it away. It's going to talk a lot about the transformation that you provide, the transformation that you've gone through, and that is going to help with creating that trust and that connection. So here's the formula that I like to use to help make content easier. Is first we got to figure out what's the purpose of the content, what's the topic, and then we create the content. So we'll go through each one of those things in a little bit. But first, let's talk about the mindset behind it all. And a lot of the mindset, I will say, back from week 1, we talked about this book, the Creative Act. A lot of my mindset for content creation has really come down from this book. Because again, if we are treating our studios like art, we should be treating our content creation like art as well. And how you should think of your content creation is just another medium in which you become creative, right? This should be something that's fun. It shouldn't be something like, oh, I have to create content, but it's I want to share. I want to create content. I want to share more about my mission. That's the mindset we should have as we are creating content. So there's a lot of things. Again, this book is really big. There's a lot of stuff in here, but I pulled out my favorite ones that I like to apply for content creation, and I wrote it all right here. So the first one is that content creation can be as simple or as complicated as you want it to be. I choose to make it simple, right? So, and you can too. You can choose to make it simple. There's no right or wrong way to do it. So, but I like to boil it down to really 2 things to talk about. 1, talk about your transformation. 2, talk about your offer. It's really it. You don't need to talk about anything else. So you want to treat your content creation like art. So how we do that is, in your content, you should be sharing your worldview, sharing how you look at the world. That's why people will want to work with you, not because of what you know, but how you interpret the world, right? Not just what you know, not just your expertise, but your character, your personality. That's why they want to work with you. So share your worldview with your art. That's the same way we do through our performances, through our songwriting. It's the same thing I do with my music production. I share my take on a song. For you, it's your take on a belief or your take on the industry. So your content, though, should also be like a documentation of the past and the present. You should be talking about the transformation you went through. You should be talking about the transformation that your students are going through right now in this moment, the transformation you're going through in this moment. Treat it like a documentation. I like to treat it like writing letters to your past self, because your past self is your ideal student. So just treat it like you're writing content for your past self. If you think this will be valuable for yourself in the past, go ahead and create it. It should also tie back to your pillars and beliefs. So everything we worked on with week 1, this is where it's all coming into application right here. So I really like this aspect of documentation here, because on my personal YouTube channel here, you can see this is all just myself documenting my music production journey. But like if someone sees this, they will see like the hours and the consistency that I put in my work. So for you, when you're able to document what's happening in your studio consistently, people are not only going to see how you have grown and the transformations you provide, but the type of person that you are, right? They see that this is someone that is serious about their studio. They see someone that is consistent with their studio, someone that actually shows up. This is how we show those characteristics. We don't just talk about it, we actually live it. Um, Number three, though, there's a lot. Number three, balance is key. So one, so the whole thing with balance is a huge thing in this book here. And there's a lot of places in content creation where we need to have balance. And there's gonna be times when I contradict myself, but again, it's about awareness and being able to balance your content creation and making this sustainable. So I write here, less is more, quality over quantity, but take imperfect action. So we need to find that balance between making sure our content is good and quality, but also not wasting our time trying to make this piece of content perfect. We got to be able to take that imperfect action as well and just get stuff out there. Your tonality and your voice is what impacts the readers. So you want to be polarizing and authoritative while also being empathetic and understanding. So what I've learned from my coach is that that's like the balance between the friend zone and the authority, which what we should be is the guide. So our tonality and the way we frame ourselves should not be the hero of the story. It should be the guide. We are like the Yoda to the Luke Skywalker. So what is that balance? Like friend zone versus authority, what does that look like? So on one hand, friend zone, if all we do is just document our life outside the studio and what we do just ourselves, just the regular things we post on social media, like we're gonna become too friendly. Like people aren't gonna see us as that authority. But if we only post authority content, if we only post content, teaching people and about our beliefs, it can come across very preachy, and we don't we don't want to be all the way on this authority spectrum because people may not like people have to connect with us with our personality as well. That's a huge part about getting students that you actually like. So we need to find that middle ground, having the guide and having content that shows off our personality but also shows our leadership as well. And then lastly, with the balance, posting with a purpose. So we want to have content that moves the needle closer to the sale. We don't want to just to post, right? If we want to make our time valuable, we want to be able to have every post move the needle a little closer to the sale, but also staying detached from the sale as well. It's a very fine line there, but when you balance that, it's just posting just to post. That's kind of like the mindset I get into now, like posting with a purpose, but also I'm just posting just to post too. Like the feeling that comes across is, oh, I'm just posting, but I'm strategically doing it and making sure that it ties back to my offer. It ties back to what I'm talking about. I'm not just posting for no reason. And lastly here, consistency. Consistency is key. You probably heard me say it multiple times, but like the reason why I've been around for almost 4 years now, and have stayed like getting clients that I love is the consistency. And the reason why people sign up with me 1, 2, 3 years after they start following me is because I've stayed consistent. So how do I do that? Is I create a weekly standard for how many times you're going to post and stick with it. So I will give you a prescribed amount of times you should post, but at the end of the day, this is your business. This is not mine. So I want you to stick with a standard that you can that you can sustain. So create a weekly standard on how many times you're going to post and actually stick with it. So is that 1 time per week, 2 times, 3 times? I recommend 3 times per week. That's how often I post on my social media, and you can post more if you want to as well. And there's some times when I'm in a season of life where I want to post more. I can post every day. There's a season of life where I don't want to post, but I still make sure I post at least maybe like once a week. But on average, I post about 3 times per week, and it's kept me sustainable. As you keep that consistent, though, what you might experience is that people might not engage, but they do notice, and they do notice you showing up consistently on their newsfeed. I like to say consistency is better than intensity, right? You don't have to go balls to the wall, guns blazing on content creation every single week, but you stay with it consistently, you will see the results with it. So that's the mindset behind it all. I will talk about this a lot as content creation starts to come up in the support calls. So you hear me say this a lot. Again, this will be a reminder to fall back on these mindsets, because these mindsets will help guide you to know what to write about in the end. In the end. So once we got that mindset, let's go ahead and get into the formula here. So first, we got to figure out the purpose of your content, and this could be same thing as like your what types of content should we write about. And there's four that I like to categorize. One, student success. Two is value posts. Three, belief posts. And then four are action posts. So we'll go through each one of them. I won't need to go too in depth with this because we'll have in-depth videos talking more about how to write these posts, what you should include in them. But I want you to have a good idea on how these are different. So first, and I would say the most important part here, is student success. So this is where we show the transformation. So although it's called student success, this is not limited to just students of yourself, but you just want to show success, show the transformation here. So the goal is to brand yourself as a figure of high authority using social proof. So social proof is going to be the biggest reason why people buy from you. That's why referrals are so strong. Referrals are so great and they stick so long. It's because that trust is already built. So this allows you to show, not just tell, how your students feel about you, right? You're going to be building trust through testimonials, interviews. I could also add in here as well, like, just performance videos as well. So again, this is not limited to students, but this is limited to, or this constraint here is show the transformation. So I want you to understand that. So this could be done through you. I've seen teachers post videos of themselves. That's just great. That's great. Like, it shows your expertise right there. Post videos about yourself performing. Post videos of your students performing. Post videos about the community that you're building as well. If you're building because we're building a community, show off your prospects videos too. If your prospects are winning, show that off, because you don't want to just limit this to like, oh, I'm only going to show people off to people that are just working with me. I want to create a community, and I'm currently working at it to, be able to show off more of my community's work as well. So an example of this is a student success post right here. This can be able to show you an example of like what student success posts can look like. Again, it's not limited to that, but it's just showing off the wins, showing off that, like, people aren't really not everyone's gonna engage with a student success post, but they are gonna see it. And that trust is gonna be built because they're like, oh, this person's legit, right? Next one here, value post. So this is teach. So teach how the transformation happened. I see a lot of teachers doing this video. This type of post is like most commonly seen as like a tutorial video, or those YouTube videos that you see, like how to learn piano, like those types of videos. Like, they're actually given value, right? The goal of these posts is to teach your audience a topic that they would get a lot of value from. That's really it, right? When your audience consumes your trainings and resources, they'll experience your coaching too. That's why this is so powerful. They get that chance to be able to be like, oh, that's what Ben looks like, or that's what Ben's coaching feels like. It's also a great way to show and experience your expertise rather than just telling people, hey, I can teach. Actually show people, teach them something. There's also like little things that you can do here and extra posts that you can do. We could save time by promoting your bigger pieces of content with like a hype post or a replay post or something like that. So a quick example is like, if you got like a workshop that you're doing, then you can create a post hyping it up, telling people about it before it's actually announced. If people missed the workshop, or people missed a live stream that you did, you can also create a post asking people if they want the replay to it, and that will help get you a lot of conversations through the DMs. So those are examples on different types of posts that you can do to kind of fill up the schedule, right? If you're feeling like, Like I don't have enough time to create like a belief post or a student success post right now. You can create a hype post for a bigger value post that you're doing, kind of like a lead up to an event, like an anticipation post to the launch. You can do something like that to start filling in like your content creation schedule. The next one here, oh, and here's an example of like an announcement or a replay post. This will go to my Facebook group, I believe. So here's like an example of a replay post. And then, these you like if you check out my YouTube channel, those are all great examples of like value posts right there. So the third one here is the belief post. So talk about your beliefs behind the transformation now. So first, we've shown the transformation. We've taught people how to experience the transformation. Now, this is how we get into like the authority figure, that leadership frame is talking about the beliefs behind the transformation. And why this is so powerful and why this gets its own content type is because this is how we attract our committed students. Right? We're gonna attracting committed students. It's really based on attracting people of the same beliefs. If you think about your favorite students versus maybe you're not favorite students, right? The differences there probably comes down to disagreements on beliefs, disagreements on how they want to be able to learn. Um, you know, the, yeah, I have a lot of teachers who want to get more students who want to do online lessons. That really just comes down to a belief issue right there. It's not whether online lessons or in-person lessons are better. It's just trying to attract. These teachers are trying to attract people who just believe that in-person lessons are better. So if you want to attract people who want online lessons, you got to talk about your belief in online lessons. You got to attract people who also believe in the value of online lessons as well. So this is where we can get really polarizing with our content, and that's what makes you stand out as different. I wrote here, the goal is to shift our prospects' belief and position yourself as the guide here. So we want every belief post to move the needle closer to making a purchasing decision, because this is gonna like what you can do with belief shifting posts is you can resolve any future objections that students or parents may have signing up as well. You can use belief posts to help qualify and disqualify your prospects. You could also use belief shifting posts as questions and opinions for your community as well. So these types of posts will be better off like seeing examples, and I highly suggest you just diving in and seeing my content as well. Here's an example right here. It's not necessarily like a value post where I'm teaching someone something tactical to do, but this is something where it's like, hey, like before you actually do the tactical stuff, here's the mindset that you need to have. And of course, if you're already a great teacher, you're probably already teaching the mindset behind a lot of these concepts that you're teaching with your students. You need to teach those to your prospects as well and to your audience. So here's an example of that. I also have one on my Facebook as well that I can show. I just posted that today. So here's one. Like I'm asking my audience their belief on how you best manage burnout. And then after that, I put in my belief, right? And what's going to happen? The people that resonate with that belief will engage. They will follow. They will agree. The people that don't agree with this take here, those aren't my prospects, right? Those are my unideal students. So I don't need to worry about those. And again, the goal of content creation is not to just attract everyone and everything, but it's to help qualify and help disqualify so that it becomes easier to find who your ideal students are. And the last part here is the action post, right? This is how we get the leads coming in. And the goal with this, the purpose, is to invite others to join the transformation. That's it. So you're inviting. It's an invitation now to join the transformation. So I like to use permission-based marketing, and the goal is to ask permission to carry a conversation over Messenger. So as you see, like especially in the scripts, I like to ask questions for permission and stuff like that. It really makes it easier to talk to the prospect rather than trying to pressure them into something, right? Like by asking them, you're just making an offer. You're just inviting people. It's up to them whether they want to continue. So I put here, don't sell on the posts, right? But rather think of it as moving your prospects onto an appropriate selling channel, right? We're not going to sell publicly. we're going to sell privately in a one-on-one setting. It's going to be a lot easier when we have built that trust from that one-on-one setting first. Once you have built enough rapport though, then your audience will feel more comfortable with you like directly promoting your services, especially when you're building your audience from the ground up. So for action posts, we'll talk about more in depth about this in the action post video. But there's two types of action posts that I like to use: direct action posts, where you get your prospects to comment on the post if they want more info working with you, right? Directly working with you, or maybe an indirect action post where you get your prospects to comment on the post if they want a freebie from you. So it's indirect because they're kind of indirectly asking for your help, but they're not directly being like, they're saying like, hey, I want one of your resources to help me out, but they're not asking for, hey, I want you to help me out specifically. So that will help you differentiate the goal, the purpose of that. It'll help you differentiate your who's a hotter prospect and maybe who's a colder prospect, or maybe who's just warm, right? A warmer prospect will be like, let me check this guy out. Like I might want to see what you have. Versus a hotter prospect would be like, oh, I know I want to work with you. Let's work together. And again, here are some examples. Feel free to check those out as well. So once we have figured out the purpose of our content, like what type of content that we're posting that day, now we got to figure out the topic, right? So there's a lot of different topics, and these are just examples, by the way. So we'll get into more about the topic of content to write as we get more specific. But these are just examples, and we want to tie it back to solving problems. So here's an example. What are the 3 biggest problems your students face that are stopping them from reaching their goals? What are the false beliefs that your students are believing? Why are you different? How can you handle future objections, right? A really great one to talk about is write a post about why you believe that investing more into music lessons is better than just finding a cheap person down the street, right? Why that's so important. And then lastly, like, what's the old way that the industry tells them that goes against what you believe? And what, going back to the documentation, talking about the past but also the present, if you're ever stuck wondering like, what should I write content about? Well, just think like, what is a problem that you've been solving more frequently with your current students at this moment, right? Think about the past week. What's kind of like the biggest problem I had to solve with my students? Oh, I'll talk about that. And this is just some of the topics that you can create and can talk about when you create your content. So now it's getting into the creation part. Like, how do you create your content? Here is the action item. So one, it's important to stay organized and ahead when batching your content. I recommend sitting down for at least like an hour per week and using not just the content writing planner. Probably change this to the content starter pack as well. I'll put that here. Content starter pack to write your weekly content. So one, you may find yourself spending hours trying to perfect your content. Don't get stuck doing this, right? If you're finding yourself spending hours and hours doing this and it's taking up all of your time, don't, right? Because the way that I work is that the amount of time I spend with my content creation is based on the season of life that I'm in. If I'm super, super busy, I'll still create content, but I'll make it easy. Maybe I'll post something that it's just simple for me to post, but at least it's getting myself out there. If I do have a lot more time, then I might plan like a more in-depth training, right? I might create a bigger piece of content. I might plan out a workshop or something like that I can do with my audience. Putting out something is better than nothing, especially in the beginning. Number 2 is choose one place where where the biggest part of your audience is, right? Whether that's your own group, your own profile, other groups, choose one and just start posting there consistently. Feel free to use templates, swipe files, examples inside of the content starter pack so that you can create your first pieces of content with ease. And then 2, it's not called the content writing planner, but I would use the content dashboard. Create a copy of that. There will be a video going in depth with that as well. After this, there'll be a video on how to use the content dashboard, but I recommend just creating a copy right now. From there, just choose 3 days out of the week when you're going to post each type of content. There's 4 types of content. You got to choose 3 out of the 4. And then from there, open your calendar, plan an event where you're going to write content for the week. So right after this video, go to your calendar, book out a time where you're going to sit down and just brainstorm, just write some content. Right now, it's obviously going to be it's going to be a little bit more difficult. It's going to take a little bit more time, but again, that's the skill that we're building up. So again, imitate, emulate, and innovate. Make sure to follow that as well. And then when the time comes, make sure you're free of distractions. Finish your 3 pieces of content when that time block comes out. And then also, lastly, feel free to post any content in the group for me to review. I can review it. Everyone in the community can review it as well. But I want to make sure that you feel confident with what you're putting out there. So other than that, check out the next trainings. We're going to go more in depth on each types of content, and I'll see you there.